Oh, swish, baby.
All right, what's up everybody? Welcome to my channel and to this video. Today we've got an exciting one for you. We're gonna be installing a basketball hoop and an in-ground system, and I'm gonna show you how to do it from start to finish. I originally did one like 4 years ago. We're gonna do it again. We got a different model here and a different house, a different situation. And so we've got lots of challenges. You're not gonna wanna miss this. Let's get started. All right, here she is. All the parts, all the pieces. Look at this. Can we do this ourselves? Should we hire somebody to do this? Let's just kind of get things out and check all the condition, make sure nothing is damaged, obviously, and we'll proceed if everything looks good. Okay, we've got everything laid out. I visually inspected it all. All looks pretty good. There's like a slight film or dust on some of the parts, but no chips, no dents, no scratches or anything like that. In the rim, the post, plastic. Again, just a little bit of film. And then we've got the backboard. I'm gonna just keep it in here to protect it. It does look like it has like this, some blemishes, but this is just the film. And once you take that off, I would be willing to bet everything looks really good. That just seems like, yeah, kind of just scratches off a little bit. So that's just the protective film that they put on. So things look good. Let's proceed to the next step. All right, after much debate, we were thinking about putting it here, kind of in the center of the screen, but then it's like facing in an awkward way. Or we decided to put it maybe like over here because we didn't want it like on the actual or blocking our fire pit area. So after much debate, we decided to put it in the center of this piece right here. I understand that there's a garden there with a fence and layups will not maybe be possible, but this is the best decision that we were able to make. So I'm gonna measure out halfway, but from here to find the center point, and then I will dig my hole somewhere around here. All right, we've got it measured here. The halfway point will be 10 feet, 1, 2, and 3 inches. So I'm gonna make a spray line right there. That's the halfway point from that side of the driveway to that side of the driveway. Next, we're gonna make an 18-inch diameter hole coming from here, and we want the edge of the diameter to line up against the playing surface. So I need to remove this rock. We're gonna come out 18 inches from here to there. All right, they say don't tow anything or pull anything with a tie down, but I'm breaking the rules here. I can almost lift this rock myself. Should be no match for the minivan. Oh yeah, that worked pretty darn well, if I do say so myself. Very tight. Yeah, a little too heavy for me to lift by hand. All right, now those stones were there for a reason. It's a retaining wall of sorts, and there's a nice graded, it's not a drop off by any means, but definitely a differential between this. Whoa, look at the size of that roly poly. Right there. Can you see that? Definitely a difference of 7 inches or so, probably, maybe a little bit more, from this playing field or this playing surface to this. And so let me just mark out my hole. All right, that is gonna be about 18 inches in diameter, more or less. Oh, this is kind of some serious work here. So, as you can see, we've got a little bit of an issue. My plan has changed a little bit. We've got quite a solid layer of rock. I imagine that's to support the asphalt that was laid way back in the day. So change of plans here. We're gonna probably put the post as close to this rock as I can, this layer right here, and then cement all of this in. So my deep hole is gonna be here. So it'll still have the depth, and it'll have the frontal support as well, so it won't tip forward because this is pretty solid, and the concrete should fill in nicely. And I'll make sure that the concrete goes a bit higher. I might have to build a little wall here so the concrete doesn't spill over. So, guy, you know, never goes as planned, but I think this is still doable. Let's continue. We are looking at a hole width of about 21 inches. I overshot it by 3 inches. And then a total depth of about 21 inches as well. So my plan is to, see, I built a wall here. Got some concrete steppers reinforced with rocks because the concrete will push outward and I don't want it falling over. But this will serve as my wall. I need to make that a little better here. And then I'll pour the concrete into the hole. All right, I got my frame built here, and let's check the measurements. We went a little wide, 22. We're gonna go by 23 or so. And the hole is plenty deep, 19 inches to here, and probably about 25 to here. We're not gonna fill the whole thing up with concrete, obviously. We don't need it that high, but I do want to, need to redo this blacktop. Anyway, I do want to make it, I think, a little flush or a little bit less than, so when the water drains off, it'll just drain down this way. Okay, next we're gonna take this piece. There's an end with 2 kind of slots, and then over here there's a dented end. So what we're gonna do is take our tape measure and measure from the dented end and make a mark at 14.5 inches right there. We're gonna get the bricks and stack them, and that's just gonna help with drainage. It says 4 to 6 bricks, and you generally want that to be about 6.5 inches high, which is 3 bricks, okay? And you can put 3 along this side as well. Might need to even that out a little bit. I'm just jumping it because it's probably mostly loose soil down there. Okay, next we'll take the post here, and remember I marked 14.5 inches, and you want those slots to kind of go parallel to the playing surface, so it's going to be kind of like that. And where's my mark here? No, you don't want to scratch the powder coating, of course. There it is right there. Okay, so you want that 14.5 or so to be flush with the ground, and I think it more or less will be. All right, we got 2 bags in, and we're gonna lay that down in the center. And they want that like pretty close to the playing surface, but that's as close as I'm gonna get. I got a rubber band around here to indicate my 14.5 mark all the way around, so it's nice and even. And then I can start filling this in a little bit. And make sure my pole doesn't fall over on me. Put the camera down and hold this.
Oh my god. Mom, look at the centipede. Hey, that's a big centipede. From these walls, just got
Okay, bud.
Flipping back down.
I'll be there in a minute. Daddy's got one more bag left. We've got 6 bags in there, the 7th one on its way. And my strategy here is to slope it down, baby. Sloper McSloperson. And this is not for the faint of heart. I'm in my mid-40s. I am hurting. I'm gonna feel this in the morning. But hey, I'm doing it. It's good. All right, here it is. This is what I'm going with. This is the final setting here. I have transitioned it effectively from the asphalt to the cement, all going downhill, and tried to do a little runoff that way and some runoff that way. Let me smooth that out just a little bit. Ouch, that is sharp. And then I have volcanoed it a little bit around the base, you can see, because you don't want water pooling. And I think we've got enough slope here where water pooling is not going to be an issue. So I'm going to call this good. We're going to let this thing set. I did measure to make sure we are level both this way and this way. And I have set this through the slots to make sure we are parallel with the playing surface. I'm real happy with this. All right, so we're gonna let this cure for 3 days, baby. By the way, we put our thumbprints. Papa Bear's thumbprint, Mama Bear, baby girl, baby boy. It's like a little butterfly.
Just across that path, like.
Next, we're going to take out the bag that's labeled BCO. You can see that right there, and take out all the parts. We're also going to grab this part right here and lay everything out. And then we've got the 2 remaining poles. We're going to get those out as well. And in particular, we're going to start with this one with the warning label right here. There are 2 bolts or holes in the middle, and then a singular hole down. I'm gonna moist cure it, keep the surface wet, so kind of like evaporation is minimized. And don't mind the porta potty back there. And then we're gonna take 2 hex bolts. So these 2 guys, we're gonna need 2 hex bolts, 2 washers, and 2 space. These are the washers and 2 spacers. And we'll put a washer on like that. And then it can only go in one side. There's kind of a smaller hole and then a larger hole. And the spacers here can only fit on one side. So not like you can do that. So that means the hex bolts are gonna slide in this way, like this, and it's gonna come out this side, like that. Doing this with one hand here. And then this thing goes on like that. Okay, and we'll push that in like that. See how that works? We'll do the same thing with the other one. Okay, so with that through, it should look like this, and your spacers are inside. We're gonna next take this piece and we're gonna put it just like this. You can see the orientation. Don't flip it around or anything. Just like this. This is the pole bracket. We're gonna slide it on just like that. And we are going to secure those with these 2 nuts, just like that. To tighten these down, you can use a 15mm socket or a wrench here. And on this side, the nut side, you can use a 14mm socket or a 14mm wrench. So I'll use the wrench on this side, on the hex bolt nut side, and then the nut here, I'll use my deep socket to make sure that that is tight. Okay, and those babies are nice and tight, no wiggle, no wobble, and you should hear this thing working real hard. All right, next we're gonna take this little countersink washer here, looks like this, and we're gonna take one of these screws, just have them handy, because what we're gonna do is take the pole that you just had, and I've got the warning label up. I've got the pole bracket face this way. These are tight. And we're gonna align at the bottom of this. There's 2 holes. One is a little lower, one is a little higher. And on the top, it's a tapered end. You can see kind of angles up. There's a slot, and that's it right there. So we want that slot kind of facing this way, because next we're gonna take this pole, and let me orient you. There's 2 big holes on this side, on both 80 degrees from each other, just like that. And then on the bottom, you can see there's this small hole that's a little closer to the edge, and then this hole that's less close to the edge. We want to put this hole right here up like this. Let me pick this up. One hand, and we're gonna drop it on top of this, and it's going to slide right over the slot, kind of like that. Okay, we're gonna secure that with one of those screws that I just showed you, and the washer right there. I haven't tamped anything down yet, but we're gonna put that here, and this screw just is gonna secure, get it in there. Kind of hold that in place to make sure it doesn't do anything crazy. And we need a screwdriver, Phillips head, to get that secured. And it should spin freely here. Got to align that countersink spacer or washer to conform with the bend of the pole here. And then we'll get that tight. Again, if you keep turning it, it'll just keep turning. But all right, pay attention to this next part. It's super important because you can risk, if you don't do this correctly, risk this entire thing failing and or causing personal injury or damage. So next thing we're gonna do is seat. It's called seating the pole. So this one has to be seated to this one and vice versa. Right now, we just, if you notice, we just delicately kind of put it on there and secured it with this screw, but things are not really compressed down to where they should be. This step is not reversible at this point if you continue. So be really careful and follow along. So the instructions state that, and I'm no pro, of course, you gotta read the instructions yourself in your own particular setup, but in my particular setup, this pole covers the slot that we just saw, and that's a good thing. We still need to seat it even if the slot is covered. If you do see a little bit of slot poking out, that does need to be seated as well. Now, after you seat it, and I'm gonna show you how to do that in a minute, if you still see slot showing out after you seat it, you should not complete assembly. You need to call the customer service number provided, and they will give you instructions on what to do, because basically it's not safe to continue. You should not see that slot protruding. And again, just because you don't see it, like right now, doesn't mean that it's seated. We still have to proceed to the next step and seat this correctly. So here's how we're gonna do that. We're gonna tamp this down 5 or 6 times, switch it on each end, and then we're gonna measure it because we want it to be 83.5 inches and no longer than 83.5 inches. Right now, it's just short of 84 inches, so we've got a little bit of seating to do. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we go. Okay. All right, now we will measure this. 83.5. Perfect. And now that our poles are seated, we're gonna twist this unit just like this. You can see there's our screw there. There's a hole. We're gonna use the self-tapping screw, and it's got a 10mm bolt socket or a nut right there. So we'll use a 10mm socket, and we will drill directly into it and secure it like that. And a little tip here, put on some gloves because it does send out some pretty hot sparks as it chews through that metal, and wear protective eyewear. Look at all this jagged, these metal fragments coming out from the pole. You can see we secured that pretty tightly. Next, we're gonna get the actual rim laid out here like this. I've got sawhorses underneath and just the box that it came in. And we're gonna orient it like this. You want this side facing you. And then we've got some hardware. We're gonna be dealing with bag BCS, and we're gonna get all the parts laid out here. There are some mini bags inside of that bag. We'll get those laid out as well. Don't mix them up because they're bagged together for a reason. Over here, we've got these extra parts, not extra, but these additional parts that were not inside of that bag, but just in a different bag. That's what they look like. So we're gonna use all these parts in the next step. And we've got some deep sockets. Let's see, we've got 11, 13, and 14mm, and a pair of pliers. So we'll get this part set up. We're gonna start with these two longer screws. And we're gonna bring this little bag over here because we first need these little guys. And then we're gonna grab this little bag because we need these black rubber washers. And we're gonna put these on here like this. And then these guys go here. And then we'll take, so that's the order, you can see. And that's gonna go in the oblong shaped hole, the top two, like this. Now to hold these in place, you're gonna take this little guy right here. Can you see what that looks like? There's two of them in this other bag. And we're gonna put them on like this. And that will secure them in place. I'm taking my pliers here and holding the back part, and I don't want to damage this this painted finish, so make sure I'm spinning the right way. There we go. And you can hand tighten it for the most part. And then I've got you can't use your deep socket on this one, so you've got to get a half inch and kind of turn it old school. Oh, and you want to make sure that these are installed this way. This one is pushed this way as much as possible, and this one is pushed this way as much as possible. You should see a little bit of those holes protruding. They want them on the outside edge of those holes. Next up, we've got the backboard oriented face down so we can access the back here. And we're gonna be taking this bracket piece and gently putting it right over the oblong holes, not the perfectly round holes, but the oblong holes. And then we'll take this little guy and we'll drop it through just like that. And we're gonna flip over the backboard now, making sure this piece does not come out or fall out. All right, next we'll take this, I think it's called the finger guard, and we'll put that over here like this. And then I have the rim in this hand. We're gonna put the rim on. Those bolts should go through those holes on the rim like that. And then we are gonna secure it with these little nuts right here provided. I'm gonna slide the backboard this way just a little bit so the U-bolt here does not come out, but I can access underneath here. A little tip for you. Otherwise you can't access things. I'm gonna secure that nut with the wrench And then I've got my socket right here. I'm gonna come at it from below and get that tightened. And we are tight. Next, we're gonna take these parts. We've got 2 jam nuts that look like this, and we're gonna put them on the U-bolt and thread them down about as far as they'll go. Ooh, just drop that. Okay, so we'll get these on there and thread them down all the way to the end of this, to the end of the road. Okay, and then we'll take these little compression springs here and put them on like that. And then we'll take this little guy and put it on like that in a line. Make sure that bolt goes through there. Like that. Need 2 hands probably. Come on, come on. There we go. And then we will take this little nut, there's 2 of them, and we'll secure them like that and tighten it down. Not super tight, but just enough where the rim is not wobbly. I'm gonna stop it right there because it does not seem to wobble, so I think that's tight enough. Next, we're gonna take these cool things, these little brackets, and put them, oops, on the outside like that. And we will use this bolt to go here. There's 4 of these. So 2 on each side like this. This one will go, oops, flip that around. That one will go right here. You get the idea, right? And then we've got our nuts. There's 4 of them, and those will attach, of course. And this part was a little tricky because my deep socket, it was best to come in this way with the deep socket, and then I've got this little piece that allows me to bend it because I was coming in too straight, and it was, I don't want to damage the powder coating on this, so that is kind of the best way to do it. All right, we'll take a moment, and life is good, right? Gotta appreciate these DIY moments. They are a lot of headache, a lot of planning, a lot of research, but kind of fun. Onward, next step, we're taking out this bag, BCR, and I've got the bolts organized for you. There's some 19mm long bolts, and then 2 other ones that are slightly shorter. They actually look the same, but they're not. And then this one is clearly different. We've got springs, we've got 8 of these like little plastic washers, and a special little nut to accompany that. We've got 4 other larger nuts, and then 2 black plastic spacers. We're using a 3/4 inch deep socket and a 14mm deep socket. That should take these no problem. That should take this one as well. We've also got a rubber mallet. We may need this, and we're gonna be working with these 2 extension arms, 2 sets of extension arms, the shorter pair and the longer pair. Next up, we're gonna take the 2 shorter arms like this, and we've got one of the longest bolts. What we're gonna do is come in through this hole right here, and we're gonna basically thread this. We're gonna put one of these black washers on the outside here, come in with the bolt. It's gonna go through this hole, and then there'll be a spacer in the middle of these 2 bars. We'll go through this hole, and then we'll put one of these black washers here, and then top it off with this nut right here. Now this might not be easy, the powder coating out of the factory. They've said that maybe it's more difficult, so you have to maybe kind of wiggle it to get some of that powder coating out, but it should slide through. If you get into trouble, just turn it. If you need to, you can put your socket on, give it a little extra power as it goes through. Just don't strip anything or damage anything. Okay, got into a little trouble, so I'm just going to encourage it here. And see that? It kind of goes, finishes up. I'm not going to give it the nuts, no pun intended, but just a little bit to get it going here. And then we'll top it off with this, like I said, hand tighten. All right, next we'll take the longer arms here. You can see there are 2 holes on this end and only 1 hole on this end. So with the hole, or the side with 1 hole, we're going to be doing the same thing we did here, but we're going to be doing it on right through that hole right there. Okay, so it'll kind of look like this. And then we'll use the same washer, spacer, washer, and nut. And we've got the long bolt that we're using there. So here's a better look at it. And notice I put a piece of styrofoam in between here because you don't want this bracket falling, or this arm falling onto that arm and damaging the powder coating. Next, we'll take the thinner of the bolts, not the shorter, the thinner, and we're gonna slide it through this top hole here, and that's gonna go through that other top hole on the other side. And then we've got this very small nut. Well, there's not the other larger ones that we used here, but this one, and we'll tighten this up. And next we'll take these big springs, and they're kind of the same on both sides, but we'll slip that through just like that, and we'll rest it right there. Same with this one, and they'll kind of hang out right there. So now you need 2 people, or you can get your ladder out, or if you've got shelving behind you, you can orientate this, because you basically want a resting point. We're going to be attaching the pole now to the backboard unit. And to do that, we're going to lay out this pole. We're going to take the end right here, 1, 2 holes, and that is going to be attached to these shorter arms right here. Okay, so here and here is what we're going to start with, and we're going to be using a bolt and a nut and 2 washers, and this time the washers go inside the arms, not on the outside like last time. Hey, like that's set up. I am impressed, if I do say so myself. Next, we'll take the longer arms here, and we're gonna, careful not to scratch the powder coating, but carefully bring it around that. And you'll hear it start to grind a little bit, so be real careful. I'm pulling this arm toward me. And we wanna bring it up to right here. You'll kind of feel it just lock into place naturally. And we're gonna put the plastic washers on the inside in between this big pole and the arm here. And we'll take the last remaining good size bolt and thread it through. And if that's not lining up, you may need to lift the back of the post up back here, have somebody lift it for you so that those holes align. If you get stuck, and I ran into a bit of a snag here. This last bolt would not come through. It was stuck right there, even with my power tool. It was just pushing this arm out this way. So I devised a little, I got my tie down here, and I made sure that no metal was on metal, except for that right there a little bit, but tightened it down all the way so that that arm would not move this way as I used the power tool to drive it through. We were off just a little bit, but I got it to work. And at this point, we can tighten up the nuts so that the end of the bolt, all of them, are flush with the nut right here. We don't need to have the bolt protruding through. All right, next up we've got these pieces out. I've got them all sorted. These are basically the remaining pieces. There's a little bag that have these in here. And we're gonna start by taking this piece and the trigger, and that should go kind of like this. It should lock into place. You'll feel it kind of bite down. There's 2 holes. Come on, there we go. And then we will take basically one, and one, use a screwdriver and secure this plate down to the plastic trigger piece. All right, next we will take this piece. This is the orange plastic piece, and we'll slide this in here. Notice that I put the little spring on this little plastic tube piece like that, and then it slides into there just like that. Now we'll take this orange handle, and you can see the trigger function already starts to work. It suppresses that, squeezes that spring, and there's a little locking mechanism, that metal piece that retracts when you squeeze the trigger. And we're gonna put that metal piece right into that groove right there, and you'll see a screw hole and a screw hole, and those are gonna align with that hole right there and that hole right there. Just like that. And then we'll turn it over carefully, and then we'll put the screws, oh, it kind of popped out there. I need 2 hands, but we'll put the screw here and here and use a long drill bit to secure those. And you basically want this flush, the handle here flush with that. All right, we'll take this little bushing piece here, and you'll notice there's a little notch in it, and there's a hole right there. You want that notch to kind of go over the hole like that. Next, we'll take the sticker and adhere it to this bar as shown here. Now we'll take this trigger piece and the inner tube, and we're gonna slide it in just like this. Note the side of the grooves. Go, and it's gonna want us to pull the trigger here to get this in, otherwise it'll lock on you. We'll put it like that. Next we will take this, just like you can see here, and we'll take this piece and slide it in like that. See the hole and hole. Push it all the way in. Next we're gonna take these 2 pieces here, and then take our entire piece, our trigger piece, lift it up, and we're gonna attach, notice the orientation here, we got the number side facing up. We're gonna attach, slide it in there, and then this side will just kind of hang out there, and then we'll put the bolt and the nut right there attaching this into place. And we're gonna be careful not to over tighten, but we do want to get that nice and secure, of course. All right, next up, we're gonna take this really long bolt. This is the last one, I know I said that before. 2 spacers and the nut for that bolt. And we're gonna basically put everything in that order through, we'll align this hole. Here's the piece here. We'll align this hole and then this hole. In other words, we'll lift this up, get things aligned, put the bolt through, the spacers through, and lock it down. Next, we'll take this bolt right here and slide it through the short extension arms on this hole, not this hole, this one, and then lock it down with this nut. Next, we'll extend the backboard. We'll lower this, press the trigger, lower it all the way, or I should say raise it to 10 feet. That's what it should say. And basically that allows you to better reach this next part. So we're gonna take the close end of a wrench right here, and we're gonna pull it, and we have to wrap it around this bar right here. That's not gonna be easy. And of course, this is laborious, so I'm gonna cheat a little bit and take my tie down, I should say. And I've got it hooked up to the spring, and we're just gonna click it and that'll raise up that spring to where we want it to be. Easy peasy. Look at that, Ma. No hands. Just undo the other end. It's nice and loose, and then that should pop right out. There we go. We'll do the same thing with the other one. Beautiful. Next, we're gonna, with the position of the backboard still like this, you could try to flip it over, but I found it much easier to undo, take the first little bit of this film off to get the trim piece on while it's here on the ground as opposed to on a ladder, because we're gonna be penetrating this metal frame here in a second. We've got this trim piece, the real long one, and there's a notch in it. So we'll kind of orient it like this. We want the notch to face the front of the backboard. And we want these, there's little grooves for 4 holes. And we'll use these little guys as you're self-tapping. We're gonna go through the plastic, through the metal, to make sure it's tight and aligned where you want it to be. Kind of put your head down here like this, and we're good. We're gonna grab it real strongly with our left hand, and then go ahead and put the self-tapping screw in. There we go. So it just spins quite a bit, but then it sinks in there very nicely. And we are perfectly lined up here, and continue doing that here, here, and here. And we'll do the same thing with these corner pieces. Now the corner pieces go on like this, and we're gonna start with the outside here, and then there's 2 on the outside, and then 1 here, and it's supposed to overlap. You can see there the trim piece that we just put on. Let's get things lined up here first and secured. All right, those are secured on, and that's gonna be a little easier to put up. You don't wanna have to put these up on the ladder, because you really need some elbow grease to put those on. All right, how many days has it been? I've been moist curing this. It's been like 9 or 10 days. What do we think? That probably needs to be hammered away. Oh no, we can get it. All right, well, what do we think? There's a piece of wood I can knock out of there, or just keep it there. All right, 3 people have lifted this onto the post.
It's really...
Now we're gonna seat this, kind of like we did before with a rubber mallet and a 2x4. Give it some good pounding. Are we sinking down at all? All right, let me come down here. Are we seated properly? Do we see that gap at all? Or that long opening? No, I think we're good. See? So we can proceed with securing this to this. All right, next we'll take this screw and the countersink washer and get that in. All right, that looks secure. Now we're gonna take this self-tapping screw right here, and we will put it right there. and secure it into place. Perfect. Looks really good. Next, we're gonna climb back up the ladder and put this cap on it. You can do this cap before you do what I just did, but I wanted to make sure it was seated all right. All right, that looks good. And now we'll put the net on. And that's pretty easy. Just take this, put it through here, and it loops around the other side. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. You can take the plastic off earlier, but I like this move. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's test out the system, or the handle system here. Okay, that's cool. Bring it all the way down. It locks into place. Hey, that's pretty high. Regulation. How high is that? That's 10 feet. Here we go. See if I got some skills. Oh, come on. Oh, swish, baby. Oh, again. Try it again. Swish, baby.
Let's go. Hey.
Hey, that counts.